Welcome to IT Pro Guide, Mohammed Niaz with you. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to configure Microsoft 365 groups with on-premises Exchange Hybrid. So with this video, you will come to know how to configure Microsoft 365 groups, enable features for an on-premises Exchange user and also an Exchange Online user in an Exchange Hybrid setup. Before I take you to the topic, I would like to introduce you to the new two courses available in Udemy. One is Learn Microsoft Exchange Server, which cover all the topics, comes in a single Exchange Server deployment and also hybrid Exchange setup. The second course available is MS100, that is for Microsoft 365 Identity and Services, which cover all the topics that comes in MS100. And the link to the courses are available below in the description. And let's move on to the topics now. So what is a Microsoft 365 Groups? Microsoft 365 Groups is a synonymous of modern collaboration, which enables teams to communicate, schedule, meeting, and collaborate documents more easily. In a Microsoft 365 Groups, all information shared within a group like email, messages, chats, etc. are stored in groups, OneDrive for business or SharePoint libraries, and this data is available to all members in the group. Now we have a hybrid setup. So far we were talking about the features with the object that created in on-premises, means the source of authority of the object was in on-premises. Now Microsoft 365 Groups is a M365 feature or an Office 365 feature, and our aim is to have the capabilities to on-premises user. So we are going to see how the on-premises users can also use Microsoft 365 Groups in an Exchange hybrid deployment. So let us discuss what are the prerequisites for enabling group feature for the on-premises users in a hybrid deployment. So you need to have an Azure Active Directory premium license for your tenant. Why this is required? Because we need to enable groups write back feature in Azure Active Directory. So why we need a group write back feature? Because groups is a Microsoft 365 feature, which is not an on-premises Exchange feature. So you need to write back the changes to on-premises Active Directory, because the source of authority before in all the features that we demonstrated was on-premises Active Directory. But as this is a feature from Microsoft 365, you need to enable group write back, and this is one of the feature that require the synchronization in other direction, because all the features that we were explaining in all other videos, the Active Directory synchronize only in one direction, that is from on-premises to Azure AD. But here with the group write back feature, the Azure AD synchronize with on-premises AD. So this is one of the limited features that use the other way synchronization in a hybrid setup. And you need a hybrid Exchange setup configured with on-premises and Microsoft 365 and verified it's functioning correctly. So far our Exchange on-premises and Exchange Online working well in a hybrid setup. Then you need to have an installed supported Exchange version, that is Exchange Server 2013 CU11 or 2016, but it is always recommended to go with the latest cumulative update for Exchange Server. Then you need to configure single sign-on in Azure AD Connect. So if you didn't configure the group write back feature or your Azure Active Directory single sign-on, we can do this again by rerunning the Azure AD Connect setup. So we need to allow the single sign-on so that the user can click on the view group files or cloud attachment links in a group email messages. Here is the Microsoft documentation to configure Microsoft 365 Groups with on-premises Exchange hybrid. So here you can see the prerequisites that we already discussed, and the steps also to do this is clearly mentioned here. The first step is to run Azure AD Connect configuration wizard in order to configure the group write back feature. Then after that you need to enable single sign-on, and once you're done with the single sign-on and the group write back feature, the next step is to determine the Azure AD connector account. Once you have that account, you need to find out AAD account DN. Then once you complete the PowerShell command, we need to create a group domain in our Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and then we need to add this as an accepted domain in our on-premises Exchange Server organization. Once you add this as an accepted domain in your on-premises organization, then we need to configure the send connector, and the send connector configuration we can done using a PowerShell command. Then you also need to configure the DNS records in your DNS manager once you add a new group domain. Then once you're done with this, you can send and receive email between the groups for your users in on-premises and Exchange Online. In addition to all this, we also need to create a on-premises zone for the new group. So these are the steps that we need to execute in order to enable the group write back feature and to bring the facility to on-premises users. So let us see one by one now. Let's begin the demo. The first step is to configure group write back feature in Azure AD Connect. For that, I run the Azure AD Connect again. When you open Azure AD Connect, you can see that the synchronization service scheduler is suspended until you close this wizard. So if there is any other changes going on in your user attributes or something, you have to wait until this wizard close. Now you can see the customize synchronization option. You have to click on that, and you have to authenticate Azure AD with the credentials, your global admin credentials. Once you complete Azure AD authentication, the next step is to connect the directories. So all the informations are fine here, so you can simply click next. Then we are not going to do any kind of domain and OU filtering, so click next. Now we have to enable group write back. At this moment we don't have any group write back feature enabled, so we will simply enable it, then click next. Now we have to select a write back destination for the groups. So I will select the users OU as my group write back destination. If you want, you can create a new OU and select the new one, but here I'm going to select users OU as my destination for group write back. So once you select your destination for group write back, so here it is users, then click next. Now you can see that we are ready to configure, and this will configure the following features. So simply click on the configure button. That will enable the group write back feature that we just selected. Now the group write back feature configuration has complete, and once you exit, the Azure AD Connect will start synchronizing the changes. So anytime you open Azure AD wizard, it will post the synchronization, and once you close the wizard, it will start it. Now the second step is to enable single sign-on. For that, let's go back to Azure AD Connect tool. Then click on the configure button. Now we need to change the user sign-in. So click on the change user sign-in option. And you have to authenticate with Azure AD credential. That is our global admin username and password. Once you complete the authentication, you can see a small checkbox here, enable single sign-on after all the sign-on methods. So just click on that enable single sign-on, then click next. Now you have to enter the domain controller credential of your on-premises Active Directory. So that is administrator for me. Then click OK. Then click next. So after checking the present configuration, Azure AD Connect now let us to configure it. So you can simply click on the configure button. That will enable single sign-on in your environment. Now the single sign-on configuration has completed, but in order to provide a single sign-on experience to the user, we need to configure a seamless SSO through group policy. So that is the next step we have. Now let's go to the group policy management from our on-premises Active Directory in order to provide the seamless experience to the users. So go to the group policy management. I'm going to edit the default domain policy because this need to be applied for all the users in my organization. But if you want to change and create a new policy, that is up to you. Now go to the user configuration and configure. Now go to the user configuration, then from there administrative templates, Windows component, Internet Explorer, Internet control panel. Then there you will find security page. Inside the security page you will find site zone assignment list. Open it and enable it. Then enter the value name. You can see on the screen the value name is autologon.microsoft azure ad-sso.com. Then the value is 1. Then click OK. Now we have done with the group policies setup. So now we have completed until the step 8, and the next step is we need to determine our Azure AD connector account, and then we need to run this PowerShell command. So in order to determine our Azure AD connector account, we will run a PowerShell command and find out the account. Then from that account we need to find out our Azure AD account DN and the other details we need to give here. Then we can complete this PowerShell command. So first let's determine the AD sync AD connector account. For that, run this command, and you can see that it is start with msol underscore 53AA2D9FA62E. So this is the AD connector account. So the next step is to find out the details Azure AD connector DN from this account. For that, open your Active Directory users and computers and find out the account which start with msol. You can see that the msol account here, and from that go to the attribute editor. If you didn't find this attribute editor, you have to enable the advanced features in this window from the actions. Now copy this DN so that we can run the PowerShell command now. Now open the PowerShell command, and this is the first command that we found in the Microsoft documentation. So just replace the DN value with the one we copied, then click enter. Now let us run the second command. Import module command, then click enter. Now we have to enter the third command, that is set AD sync unified group write back permission. So give permission to all, and there you complete your PowerShell commands required for this session. The next step is to create a group domain in our Microsoft 365 Admin Center. For that, log into the Admin Center. Then from the settings, click on the domain. Now we need to add a group domain. For that, click on the add domain. Then enter groups dot your domain name. Here it is examportal.live. Then click on the use this domain button. Then click continue. So I selected add your own DNS record. Then click continue. Now you can see that the Exchange and Exchange Online Protection and what are the required records that I need to copy from here to the DNS manager. So mine is GoDaddy. So I have to log into the GoDaddy DNS manager, then configure these records. So let us copy these records one by one from the 365 Admin Center to DNS Manager. Now we have completed all the DNS records in our DNS Manager. So let's click Continue. And now you can see that the domain setup has completed. And you will see in the domains groups.examportal.live. Now the next step is to add this group domain as an accepted domain in our on-premises Exchange organization. And for that I'm going to log into my Exchange server. Then from the mail flow, go to accepted domain. And there you can add groups.domain.com and you can give a name here. In the accepted domain, put groups.examportal.live, and in the domain type you can put internal relay. So we are done with the accepted domain. The next step is to add this group domain to the hybrid send connector that created as a part of our hybrid configuration wizard. So let us run a get send connector command and list out all the send connectors in our Exchange organization. Now you can see that we have two send connector, and the send connector that we want to add this group domain is outbound to Office 365. And you can see now exam portal on and mail.onmicrosoft.com is available. So we are going to add, in addition to that, we are going to add groups.examportal.live. So in addition to the outbound to Office 365, I need to add the complete name to my command in the identity switch. So just I will copy it from the previous command, then run it here, then click enter. Now if you go back to the details of this send connector again with the previous command, you will see SMTP value as groups.examportal.live and examportal.onmicrosoft.com also. So now let us create a group from our admin center, Microsoft 365 admin center. For that, log into the Office 365 admin center. Then from the recipient, click on the create group option. And then give a name and group email address. So in the domain name, you have to select groups.examportal.live. Then click on the save button. Now we have created a group in our 365. Now you can see that the group creation has completed. We have a group named info group in our Office 365. I want to add members also to this new group. So from the members, I will add one on-premises user and also one hybrid Exchange online user, so that we will have two type of users and we can make sure that the on-premises and also Exchange online works in the Office 365 groups. So let's add the members and save this. So now we have a group with members from on-premises Exchange and Exchange online. Now I have logged into my Active Directory, and to speed up the synchronization, I will simply run start AD sync cycle, then policy type Delta, so the changes will be synchronized with Azure AD. Now the synchronization has completed. Now we can verify that the group write back feature write the group information back to our on-premises Active Directory. For that, log into your Active Directory and from there go to your Active Directory users and computers. And you can see that the groups will be written back to the destination folder that you selected with this group underscore some names. So if you go to the members, you will see the name of the users who are the members of this group. You can see one user is an on-premises user and one is a cloud user or Exchange Online user. So now it is time to test. For that, I logged in as our Exchange Online user. Then from the address book, I can see info group, which is a new group that we created. And I'm going to send a new email to the info group. So it's supposed to receive to the same user and also to the on-premises user Pat. So you can see that the mail has received to the on-premises user. Now let us try to send from the on-premises user to the same group. And I would like to put a request a delivery report. And now you can see that the message delivery has failed. So we have something missing. That is, we need to create a DNS zone in our on-premises Active Directory. So let's go to the on-premises Active Directory and open your DNS manager. Then let us create a new zone. Click next. Then continue the wizard. Now enter the zone name. So it is groups.examportal.live. Then click next. Now finish. Now we have a new zone here. Now we need to enter the records. So first is MX value. Copy the MX record value from the admin center. Then you can paste it here. So now we have MX record. You can also create an alias, a CNAME for auto discover. Then click OK. Now we're done with the necessary records in the new zone that we created. Now let's go back to the Outlook and try again to send email from on-premises user to the 365 group. And this time we don't have any delivery failed message. So let's go to the other user and you can see that that message has received successfully from the group sent by on-premises user to the Exchange Online user. Now if the new groups are not available in the global address list, then you can do update recipient PowerShell command. For that, copy the email address of the group. Then from the PowerShell, run update recipient, then -identity, then enter the group name, and this will add the groups to global address list. So let us summarize what we have learned in this video. Microsoft 365 Groups is a collaboration feature which provide a rich collaboration to the users. And to bring the users in on-premises to the groups, the first thing we need to do is to enable group write back feature, then single sign-on following to that. Once you complete the Azure AD Connect related configuration, the next step is to find out Azure AD Connector account. Then once you know about the Azure AD Connector account, then you have to copy the Azure AD account DN from Active Directory. Then you have 3 PowerShell commands to run to configure. So once you done with the PowerShell command, the next step is to configure a group domain in our Microsoft 365 Admin Center. For that, you need to log into the Admin Center, copy the group domain records, then you have to configure your DNS manager also. Once you completed with the group domain configuration, the next step is to configure Exchange on premises the group domain as an accepted domain. Then also you need to configure the send connector that created as a part of hybrid configuration wizard. For that, we saw how to run a PowerShell command. So once you complete the send connector configuration, then we need to create a new zone in our on-premises Active Directory for the groups record. And after that, you will be able to send and receive emails to the groups, and you will be able to use the features that Microsoft 365 offer in M365 groups. That is all. See you in the next video.